Welcome back to Feel Good Breakfast Show. This is Expresso on S3. I'm glad you came back because, as mentioned a little earlier, we would like to give you the information, tips that you need on World Birth Defects Day. It happens every year on March the 3rd to acknowledge all types of birth defects. Globally, clubfoot is the most common musculoskeletal birth defect affecting millions of children worldwide. Despite its prevalence, accessing treatment remains a significant challenge for families in resource-restricted countries like South Africa. This is why we want to bring the information to you on your Feel Good Breakfast Show. And joining us in studio are two experts, well-versed with this particular condition. First, we've got Karen Mara Moss. I love it when you have three names. It's fantastic. Founder and CEO of Steps Clubfoot Care. And then Karen, of course, introduced the non-surgical Ponseti method to South Africa in 2005 to treat clubfoot. Of course, we have pioneers on this couch, alongside volunteer physiotherapist at Maitland Cottage Children's Orthopedic Hospital, Michelle. Is it dicey?
Dicey.
Yes, indeed it is. And I know this topic could be a bit dicey. However, when you got the right information, it's very, very important. But welcome, ladies, and thank you so much. What an important topic to chat about, especially when it comes to clubfoot. Yeah. And this is something that you've revolutionized in terms of treatment, because I know that the surgery was very invasive. Yes. It was very, very daunting. But let's talk about the innovation that you instituted in 2005 and how it's changed the outlook for many people, obviously born with clubfoot.
Well, the innovation, the irony of it was almost like constructive innovation, destructive, because the method had been around for about 50 years when I discovered it. It just hadn't been taken mainstream by surgeons.
Okay.
And when my son was born with clubfoot in 2003, I started a traditional old style of treating clubfoot, which would always lead to surgery in 80 to 90% of cases. Yeah. And discovered this man who was doctor in the USA who was doing a far less invasive treatment. And my son was treated by him in such a remarkable way that was what inspired me to come back to South Africa home and say, how do I get doctors to look at this method and see the value of it? And it was interesting because I wasn't the only one who did that around the world. There's actually been a study now a few years ago about how parents have actually motivated and spearheaded this method taking off more than surgery. So it was interesting.
Thank you for coming back, by the way. We needed you so much, and it's great to have this innovation here. But I think let's just go back to basics for a second. For parents who are not in the know about clubfoot, and perhaps I'm going to call it detection. How do we know that our child will have this particular defect? Is it something that will show up in a scan, or is it something that we deal with post-birth?
It can definitely show up in a scan, and not in all cases will they pick it up. Scans are obviously getting more and more advanced, but a lot of our population doesn't have access to high, scans or high-quality scans. So usually it will be diagnosed at birth. It's what's called a birth defect or congenital anomaly.
Right.
It's a visible defect. The foot is actually... In fact, Michelle's got a model here that she can show. The foot is actually turned over, pointed around, and pointed down in a very rigid position.
Yes.
So unless it's corrected, you actually would end up walking on the top of your foot, with your foot pointing inwards towards your body, which means you also can't wear shoes. So it's very much a visible thing that is seen at birth and should be diagnosed or identified by one of the nurses or doctors at delivery, and then you would be then referred to an orthopedic surgeon for assessment.
And I think it's something that has a stigma. And what I'm very happy about is that I've just watched a movie called Dune 2.
Yes.
And one of the characters in there, no spoilers, don't worry, is somebody with clubfoot.
And I have to go and see it.
And
I didn't know that.
It was amazing to see that sort of thing, and the stigma being completely dropped, which I actually love.
Wow.
You know, I don't like stigmas, and this is why we're having this conversation. But Michelle, with regard to you being a volunteer physiotherapist, some of the therapeutic methods in order for, let's just say, if there's a parent who is struggling to get the information and the care needed to I'm going to say, handle or treat their child with clubfoot. I mean, how has this experience been for you, and what type of tips and tricks can you help parents with?
Sure. Well, firstly, it's an absolute privilege working with families and children born with clubfoot. It's an incredible community. Maitland Cottage Children's Hospital has a really specialized unit that treats clubfoot. Also being a clinic where all the parents meet together on a Friday, the clinic setting is such a educational space for other parents because they learn from one another. And as Karen was saying earlier, mothers and parents can be great advocates to each other. We have a big poster where they can learn about the condition there, so they feel very supported.
That is wonderful.
Yeah.
And of course, on a therapeutic level as well, you know, if there are kids born with clubfoot, we want to make sure that they get the maximum possible flexibility and, of course, development of their muscles as well. I don't want anybody to be static because of this, because this doesn't mean you have to stop moving.
No.
So I'd love for you to chat to parents directly now, and in terms of getting their kids moving and also leading a so-called normal life, are there any things that they can do now in order for them to just start the journey?
So I think the most important thing is that early intervention is critical.
Yes.
The earlier you treat clubfoot, the easier it is, the shorter the time frame, the fewer the complications, the less likelihood of surgery. So for parents, the most important thing is to recognize that it is something that needs to be treated early. There are a few misconceptions that maybe if you stretch it or massage it or leave it alone, it'll come right. But treating it early really helps. So it's worth seeing a professional to make sure that the diagnosis is accurate.
Yes.
And if so, then do something about it early. That really makes a big difference. And then to not be too scared of the process of casting and putting your child into plaster casts.
Yeah.
The bones are not going to be broken. It's just a gentle manipulation and casting that corrects the foot over a number of weeks.
Thank you so much, ladies, for the information provision. I wish we could chat about this at length for hours, but that's pretty much all we got time for. But I know that there is another resource, steps.org.za. Am I saying that correctly? There we go.
Yes, that's our support organisation. It's
Lovely.
19 years old this year, and people can please come and join. As Michelle said, we're a very warm, welcoming community, and the parents and families are really, really the most important part of this whole process.
Wow.
So, yeah.
Karen, thank you so much. Michelle, thank you so much for all of your hard work and help. And we hope that surrounded you with information and care. Of course, this is World Birth Defects Day that we did celebrate on the 3rd. And I think that's a fantastic opportunity to go to steps.org.za. You are not alone. The information is there for you. All the best.